centers equity in our work. The youth cabinet is where the enterprise learns together, coordinates across departments, and efforts to align work. We use our collective influence, and we invest in specific strategies to reach the city's goals. Why is this important? This work is so important because we understand that we have to have a frame, we have to have an idea. This is an opportunity for us to really come together and say, what does it mean to be a child in the city of Minneapolis? So what we do is we envision a picture and then we color it together in different hues in different ways, and we pull it all together. So one idea, multiple ideas come out to this great picture. Part of this is beyond talking about it, beyond coming together and thinking about it. It's about accountability. You got to do the work. So we are committed to continuing this work with young people. And I really believe that this is transformational. This is a change that will go deep. We are investing in the next generation, and we are investing in the future. Let me turn it over here.
As Ray said, the Youth Cabinet centers equity in our work. We prioritize the impacts to young people of color and culture, transgender and gender nonconforming young people with disabilities, and immigrant and refugee young people who call Minneapolis home. As the City of Minneapolis implements the Child-Friendly City Initiative, the Youth Cabinet will further the work by aligning the Cabinet's priorities to reflect emergency preparedness, youth on boards, safety, and child rights education. With that, it gives me a great pleasure to introduce Michael Nine-Heiss, the president of UNICEF USA. Welcome.
Thank you. What a privilege to be here in Minnesota. Mayor Fry, distinguished guests, it's my honor to join you to celebrate the launch of your Child-Friendly Cities Initiative Local Action Plan. What a treat for me to return home to Minnesota. I am a child of the Twin Cities, raised here and going to high school here. I have family spread out still from Minneapolis in the west to Stillwater in the east, and multiple places in between. In fact, as I mentioned to you earlier, Mr. Mayor, one of my brothers is also a mayor here of the small St. Croix River town of Marina and St. Croix. And maybe you can help me convince him to make Marina and St. Croix the first child-friendly village. I want to thank whoever also dialed up the warm weather while we're here. I want to believe that I could still withstand the depths of a Minnesota winter, but you know, why test it? So. I also want to pay special recognition to Representative Omar, who's here with us. Thank you for being here. We're grateful for your steadfast support. Children's issues and championing the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the most ratified human rights treaty in the world, with only one country that has not ratified it, and that's ours. So thank you for being a champion to bring that to life one day. The Convention on the Rights of the Child is the blueprint for child rights, and it also forms the foundation of UNICEF's global work and anchors UNICEF's Child-Friendly Cities Initiative. With the launch of your local action plan, you have now joined more than 3,000 CFCI cities around the world that are prioritizing the needs and the voices of children and youth in the development of your city. UNICEF, of course, is probably best known for our global work in over 190 countries and territories, responding to the needs of children in crisis in places like Turkey and Syria, Ukraine, Pakistan, the Horn of Africa, and elsewhere, to ensure that every child is healthy, educated, protected, and respected. But UNICEF has a universal mandate for every child, and that means a concern for vulnerable and excluded children wherever they are, including in wealthy countries like our own. At the federal and state level, we advocate for legislation that promotes the rights of children. Examples include federal legislation to increase access to mental health services within schools. And state level, where we're working on things like banning child marriage. At the community level, we work with municipal governments, civil society actors, and other partners to ensure that children and youth, their needs and voices are at the center of policy development and program implementation. And to enable this work, we draw on a broad network of supporters across the country, advocates, youth clubs and leaders, and other partners who are champions for children. Not only because children are, the world is their future, but because their well-being today is essential to the well-being of our societies. We launched the Child Friendly Cities Initiative in the United States in 2020 based on a framework tested around the globe to realize measurable results for children on priority issues identified by municipal leaders, youth, and other stakeholders in their own communities. Now 3 years in, with the help and experience of our CFCI partner cities that are in the pilot program, led by Minneapolis and Houston, by the way, we are working to refine the CFCI experience, further adapt the global framework to the U.S. context, and build upon the many strengths of our municipal partners. Here in Minneapolis, you have a long history of championing the rights of children, dating back at least to 1989, when then Mayor Frazier signed onto the newly minted Convention on the Rights of the Child at the local level, and including more recently the great work of the Minneapolis Youth Coordinating Board, the Minneapolis Youth Master Plan, the Minneapolis Youth Congress, which is driven by their motto, no decision about us without us. And under your leadership, Mr. Mayor, we have exceptionally strong engagement from your city and its partners. It was 3 years ago today that you, youth leaders, and other champions for children, and our staff at UNICEF USA came together to celebrate the adoption of the Minneapolis City Council resolution to undertake the ambitious journey toward recognition as a UNICEF child-friendly city. Today, we not only celebrate that anniversary, but also the work we will all do together to implement your local action plan and reaffirm your commitment to make Minneapolis the best possible city for every child. As we continue this journey, I want to offer a special thanks to the CFCI leadership team and community partners, the incredible team within the City of Minneapolis Health Department, and the Minneapolis Youth Coordinating Board. Special recognition goes to the various members of the Minneapolis Youth Congress and the young adult interns for their valuable contributions. And then there were over 300 Minneapolis youth and adults that the CFCI team has engaged over the past 3 years by lending their voices, their unique perspectives, and time to help identify, understand, and take action around top priorities impacting children and youth in your city. This milestone would not be possible without their contribution and dedication. And you did all of this, by the way, at a very difficult and complex time, navigating the stress and trauma of not only the pandemic, but also the individual and collective trauma in your community following the murder of George Floyd. Emerging from all of that, your one-year CFCI local action plan identified 4 critical priority areas to deliver on impact for children: emergency management, youth participation, community safety, and child rights learning. Interestingly, each one of these is aligned to UNICEF's global programs and advocacy priorities, confirming again that the challenge faced by children today are universal and require collaborative, evidence-based, and innovative solutions working alongside children in need. Now, as you implement your plan, I am here to commit that UNICEF USA will continue to stand with you, support you, and ensure your success. I look forward to joining you a year from now to mark the successful implementation of this action plan and the formal designation as a UNICEF-recognized child-friendly city, which would be only the 2nd ever in the United States. Thank you for allowing us to be partners with you here in this great city of Minneapolis. We are humbled, appreciative, and committed. And together, we won't stop until every child in Minneapolis and globally is healthy, educated, protected, and respected.
Excuse me, sir. What's happening with the children in East Phillips?
Can you hold questions to the end?
I'm just wondering if we're very glad you're here. And we have information here for you and everyone here in the room about what's happening with the children in East Phillips.
Thank you.
And we'd like to ask the mayor today to commit to adding no more pollution to the neighborhood of East Phillips. He has planned a facility that will add 1,800 vehicle trips per day on average to the neighborhood of East Phillips, and will contribute a lot of air pollution. There's many concerns about the demolition, and we feel the community of East Phillips has been ignored by Mayor Fry. There's no compromises offered. These compromises don't offer anything concrete that relate to the air pollution of East Phillips.
Questions?
Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
I have a question back here, in regards to,
Questions later, please.
okay.
We'll have to have a question.
So the mayor will not commit to adding new pollution? Is that correct?
Questions later, please.
We're actually going to reduce the amount of pollution over there is the answer.
No, you're not.
So you
You
can-
are not on.
All right, everybody, this is a celebratory moment here. This is a really big deal for the city of Minneapolis. These are taking important steps forward. Michael and everybody at UNICEF, everybody at the city, our health department that has worked so hard to move in the direction towards this designation, I want to give a huge thank you. And so in honor of all of that work,
You're a celebrity, Mayor Fry. Nice job.
Native kids are dying.
Thank you.
Mayor, we celebrate these communities and the youth leadership. We do not celebrate you because your statements are performative and you do not follow through.
so
East Phillips is an example and so is North Minneapolis.
rather than be performative, what we're going to do right now is talk about some of the work, the specific action steps that has led toward this particular designation. We are not just talking here. We are acting in record numbers, whether that's reduction of pollution that we are doing in record numbers, or housing for children that need it, which we are doing at about 5 times the previous record. So let me give you a little bit of a rundown as to why this designation is so important, and the specifics behind the work that is presently underway. First, I want to give a big thank you to Karen Moe with NCR, to Saray Garnett Hooley with Regulatory Services, to our health department that has been the lead on this from day one, Heidi Ritchie, who's been our interim health director. Our health department really has stepped out in a beautiful way to champion this issue before most of us even really knew what it was, and I count myself among them. A big thank you to the Youth Congress as well, because they have played an amazing supportive role that makes sure that no decisions are made without them. Having their voice at the table every step of the way is extremely helpful in decision-making processes at our city. And, you know, Michael mentioned a little bit about this, but right now, there are no cities presently in the United States that have the designation of a child-friendly city. Right now, we're neck and neck and maybe slightly behind Houston to be the very first city in the entire country that would gain that designation. And I know Latricia Vitaw, council member of the 4th Ward, who is also a very competitive person, also a champion of health for children, wants to move in that direction in short order. And here's how we're going to get there. It's not just lip service, it's doubling down on the things that we believe will work for young. Right now, we have an initiative called Stable Homes, Stable Schools that has housed over 3,300 kids in our Minneapolis public school system and counting. Stepping up to make sure that young people and their families don't go homeless, making sure that young people and their families not just have that stability at home, but also have the stability that translates into the education that they can get. Just a couple of years ago, we put in around $2.7 million ongoing to the park board specifically around youth recreation. Now, admittedly, my mindset around youth recreation was pretty narrow. But if you meet young people where they're at right now, they're not just running track and field and playing basketball and soccer. They're also heavily involved in technology. They're innovating in a way that previous generations would have never thought of. They're stepping up to mix and spin and design and do computer programming. And this makes it so not only do we recognize the next athletes of the next generation, but we're also recognizing the entrepreneurs and the CEOs and the engineers and all of these extraordinary artists and all of these extraordinary talents that young people will and do ultimately have. And it's not just that. We have very aggressive goals right now to get down to 100% clean and renewable electricity by the year 2030 in our city. It's a goal that we're going to be doubling down on to make sure that facilities that we are putting up are in fact carbon neutral. Carbon neutral. We're going even further to make sure that people, young people, have the next step and trajectory to succeed in a career by setting up job training centers in our city, putting a radius around those job training centers to make sure that communities of color specifically get that kind of benefit that we all know that they deserve and they need. And on top of that, we're doubling down again to do things like provide 3 acres worth of land to community partners to chart their own futures. We are stepping up for this city, and specifically we're stepping up for young people because we need to. It is essential right now. And so I just want to give a huge thank you to everybody in the room that has moved towards those end goals, because those end goals are noble. And the group, thank you for your years, decades. And Michael, you mentioned, this work goes all the way back to Mayor Don Fraser, a champion in and of himself. And I'm sure many of you have heard this story before, but I don't miss an opportunity to tell it. My very first sort of political event that I attended and worked on was actually a fundraiser at my home for now Attorney General Keith Ellison, then Congressman. And I gave what I'm sure was far too long and far too winding of an introduction. And after that introduction, I stepped off the stage, which was really just my living room, and I noticed that there was an elderly gentleman that was standing over there in the corner. And I asked him, I said, "Who is that guy?" He said, "Oh, that's former Mayor Don Fraser. It's great that he's here. He hasn't been feeling so well lately, so it's good that he's able to attend this event." And I thought, "Oh my God, I've never met the former Mayor Don Fraser. I got to take my opportunity right now." And I walked up to him and I said, "Oh, Mr. Mayor, it's such an honor to meet you. I understand you haven't been feeling so well. I hope you get better soon." And he says, "Son, I've been listening to your spiel for the last 10 minutes, and I hope you get better soon, too." and so I will not go on a long, winding spiel like I did back then and honor then Mayor Don Fraser's commitment, not just to short speeches, but more importantly, to the kids of our city that we care so deeply about. Speaking of people that care deeply about the children of our city and the work that we're collectively doing and the partnerships that are so intrinsically important to quite simply getting things done, please give a very warm introduction to our Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
Let's see if I can commit to a short speech as well. This is a celebration, and I'm so excited to be part of. I want to first thank the Youth Cabinet co-chairs, Harry Moe and Saray Garnett.
Are you leaving?
Really,
You cannot leave without answering
it's
questions,
incredible.
Mr. Fry. That is unbelievable. I'm so sorry, with respect.
Yeah.
He ducks out of rooms. He runs away from these questions. He betrays the kids of color. We so appreciate every single one of you in this room, but this is something that Mayor Fry should not take any credit for. The work that he's coming up here and saying he's doing when he is actively putting pollution in the communities where kids of color and white kids in poverty live. That's North Minneapolis.
I'm happy to answer questions out here.
No, in
Come on.
public. We want you on
I'm
record.
going to the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's event
Oh,
right now,
sure
which
you
is
are. You're going to
important.
try to get more pictures with their
No
children.
pictures.
They don't want you
Support.
there.
Come on out
They
so
do
that I can
not want
talk.
you. I want you up here on record.
Come on out.
No,
No, let's do it right here.
no, let's have you on record.
Apologize,
Let's have a
we gotta leave.
camera.
We gotta leave, we gotta do that.
Native children are dying, and he puts more pollution right next to them.
Thank you, Representative, thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
Thank you all. Thank you for shepherding this work, for being a champion of our children in the city. To the Youth Council, thank you for having your voice be at the table. I want to thank UNICEF USA President Michael Neinheis. I have a long history with UNICEF. I would not have survived living in a refugee camp without the incredible generosity and the work that UNICEF does. And it's been an honor of mine to champion their work now in Congress, to the mayor for giving way to this really incredible initiative. I want to congratulate and thank my former coworker, Heidi Ritchie. Her and I used to work together at the city council, so it's incredible to see her in her new role. And Gru has been a mentor of mine. I've had I don't want to age myself, but the opportunity to work alongside her in championing our youth for now maybe two decades. This initiative is really important, and it is an honor to represent a city that is receiving this candidacy. To make sure that our youth have a city to live in where they get educated and are given the stepping stools to thrive is important. For them to have spaces that are free of pollution, to have an environment where they can breathe and thrive as well is important. To try to invest in recreational services, in job creation opportunities is also important. So as we move forward in this next year, I look forward to helping the city make sure it has all of the tools necessary and the resources to be able to celebrate 1 year from now and say we maybe beat Houston to that recognition. I am competitive as well, so I look forward to us doing everything that we can. Again, congratulations to all of you. It is really incredible to be able to be part of the celebration.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Heidi Ritchie. I'm the Interim Health Commissioner for the Minneapolis Department of Health, Minneapolis Health Department. As people spoke, we started this journey over a year ago, and I had been a part of that journey when I was in the mayor's office, but I really want to thank the former Commissioner Gretchen Musicant, who really brought so thank you, Gretchen. And I'm happy to be able to continue. Focusing on upstream strategies that promote healthy communities is at the core of what the health department does. Focusing on upstream strategies. How much more upstream can you get than making sure our children have positive experiences? Ensuring an environment where young people are supported and informed helps them make responsible decisions and creates responsible, knowledgeable, self-sufficient adults who are learning how to take care of themselves, maintain healthy relationships, and assert healthy boundaries. The Child Friendly Cities Initiative lays the groundwork and formalizes all of the work that the city does for young people, mentioned here by many others before me. It also prioritizes the existing needs that are not being addressed. Our priority is to address the gaps investing in youth, such as after-school opportunities, mental health, jobs and or career pathways programs, especially in the public health careers. We also focus on eliminating barriers to accessible healthcare for all. One example is working with community partners on free vaccine clinics. We have one tomorrow and 2 more coming up this month. Louisa over in the back there, Stephanie Graves over there, can you raise your hand? If you want information on those vaccine clinics, just touch base with her. We know it's important to advance children's rights when it comes to having a voice in their own mental and physical well-being, especially in their adolescent years. Children need more empowerment in making decisions, and we also want to provide more opportunities for civic participation and leadership. Through our school-based clinics, the Teen Empowerment Council, the council, was created. It is made up of high school students from 6 Minneapolis high schools. Members include students of various genders, racial and ethnic groups, and ages. The council members are trained as peer educators to share health knowledge and promote the school-based clinics in their communities. They're involved in health outreach that includes classroom presentations, lunchroom education, and one-on-one peer health education. Finally, we can't forget about our growing issues surrounding substance use and the safety of our children. Too many kids have idle hands being filled with drugs, guns, and being pressured into dangerous and illegal activities. We cannot do this alone. We need all of our partners to come together and make children a priority. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Diane Cutts.
Good morning. I'm Diana Cutts. I'm a pediatrician and the chair of pediatrics at Hennepin Healthcare. And I'm very honored to be here today with you all at this wonderful event, which is so enriching for us, I think. You might be surprised to know that our Hennepin healthcare system sees over 80,000 pediatric visits a year in pediatrics, in family medicine, in dentistry, in our emergency room, or specialty clinics. And the children we care for are beautiful and diverse. Nearly 40% speak a language other than English at home. You might be surprised, too, to hear that one of the things we prescribe for children is reading through a national program called Reach Out and Read. What business do doctors have prescribing reading? Well, we know through decades of research that brains benefit from language-rich environment from birth, maybe even before birth. And while brains are learning, lifelong bonds are being grown between parents and children as books are shared, and that intimate and cozy experience of reading together. We've used books in Reach Out and Read for some specific purposes too, with children's books that encourage dental care at an early age, or promoting anti-racism, or to illustrate the experiences of a newborn born prematurely in our NICU. So when Child-Friendly Cities came forward with a new opportunity, we were delighted to grab it. We saw a special way to educate children and adults about the rights of children with concepts that are so important to our work. So let me show you, as I read a few short pieces from the book we gave to families. I Have the Right to Be a Child by Alan Serres, illustrated by Aurelia Fontre. I am a child with eyes, hands, a voice, a heart, and rights. I have the right to a first name, a last name, a family that smiles at me, and a country that I can call my home. I have the right to be cured with the best medicines that were ever invented, and to run and jump and climb and shout. It's so wonderful to feel good. I have the right to be protected by adults, to be sheltered from disasters under a great big umbrella, whether there's too much rain or because of other sad things. We need our rights to be respected now, today, because it is right now, today, that we are children.
Minneapolis. We are situated in a city that is committed to the values of being a child-friendly city. This important designation will elevate and prioritize the voices of children in local governance, decision-making, and already the role they play on our school board and as part of our system in Minneapolis Public Schools. To me, there's no more important voices than the voice of our children's. Our children's know what they need. They know when they hurt. They know to turn to us for love and safety and to teach them how to navigate this world. I think most of us would agree that handling this world has been quite a challenge these past few years. But I think this collaboration, this focus, this initiative gives us a way to look towards the future that is focused on our children. The priorities of the local action plan, emergency preparedness, safety, youth on boards, and child's right education go hand in hand with those, the mission of the Minneapolis Public Schools. That is to provide a high-quality, anti-racist, culturally responsive education for every Minneapolis student. So on behalf of the staff, the parents, and the students of Minneapolis Public Schools, we are with you in this partnership, and we look forward to an exciting year ahead, and look forward to an invitation back as we get our designation, hopefully before Easter.
Well, as you've all already heard, the Minneapolis Youth Congress has a powerful mission statement. No decisions about us without us. An amazing statement indeed, especially as we celebrate Minneapolis officially receiving the designation as a UNICEF Child-Friendly City candidate with the launch of the Child-Friendly Cities Initiative Local Action Plan. Good morning. My name is David Krause. I am a president of a community bank. I am very passionate about my role and to the customers that I serve. Throughout my banking career, I've also developed a strong passion for helping the youth in our local communities as well as children around the world. It is truly an honor to have this opportunity to speak to this distinguished group. I would like to take a few minutes and talk about my advocacy work with UNICEF USA. Since 2018, I've had the opportunity to volunteer for UNICEF USA as the advocacy lead for Minnesota. My role is to connect with our state, national, and congressional leaders to educate them about the rights and needs of children, both locally and globally, to advocate for their safety, and to share UNICEF's mission and life-saving work. The highlight of each meeting is hearing from local high school students involved in UNICEF USA's youth program, sharing their passion for children. And I'm so honored today that one of those fellow students that I had several meetings with is here today. So that just made this day even more special for me. Two areas that I am especially concerned about is the mental health of our children and the eradication of child marriage in the world, including here in the United States. UNICEF's mission is to relentlessly pursue a better world for every child. And that means every child around the world, every child here in the United States, and every child here in Minneapolis. I am a proud supporter of this mission and the UNICEF Child-Friendly Cities Initiative. In preparing my message, I spent time reviewing the Minneapolis Youth Coordinating Board's UNICEF Child-Friendly Cities Initiative archive. The first thing that caught my eye was Rachel Peterson's TED Talk presentation on youth voice. I encourage all of you to listen to her talk. My question for you today is, Have you ever sat down and listened to a child? I mean, not talk to a child, but listen. And what is your opinion of today's youth? Kids who spend all their time looking at social media on their phones or playing video games? Have you ever said, or have you heard others say, today's youth will never amount to anything? I can bet that almost every generation has said the same thing about the younger generation. It's very easy to talk to our youth, but have you ever taken the time to listen to them? One aspect of the UNICEF Child Friendly Cities Initiative, in alignment with the children's right to participate, is to make sure our youth have a voice or say in a decision that are made about them. No decision about us without us. As decision makers, we must commit to take the time to listen and to understand what our children are saying. Throughout my business career, I have worked with volunteer organizations that gives me the opportunity to spend time with children in various classroom settings around the 7-county metro area. One of my favorite activities is mock interviews. The face-to-face interaction gives me the opportunity to listen to children. For most students, it's their first time interviewing for a job. I start each conversation with the same question. Tell me about yourself. Their response gives me a brief insight into the child's life story. Many students don't know what to say and quickly change the subject. And after each interview, I give them feedback. Often, I start out by telling them to breathe, and then that they did a great job. I then encourage the student to embrace his or her personal story and to be proud of their upbringing and life experiences. After some encouragement, I start to hear incredible stories. I take time listening to what they have to say. I leave each interview more inspired and confident about our youth's future. Youth need a voice, and as community leaders, we need to encourage youth to tell their story, and it is up to us to listen. To my fellow business leaders, I applaud you for being here today. I know that you are continually thinking about your business's future. The one point that I want to leave with you today is to remember that the youth of Minneapolis and the world is our future. Take time to stop and to listen to them. The UNICEF Child Friendly Cities Initiative is one step towards ensuring that our youth have a voice, and that it is up to us as leaders to listen and to include them in the decision-making process. No decision about us without us. Thank you, and now I invite Heidi Ritchie back up to wrap up this ceremony.
Thank you everyone for being here, and I'm actually not going to wrap us up, but I do have the pleasure and honor to introduce one of the most enthusiastic people that I know who will bring us to a call to action on this day of love, and it's someone I know who loves children deeply and enthusiastically and compassionately, so Councilmember Latricia Vita.
So much. This has been wonderful. It has been such a delight to just sit and listen to everyone's passion surrounding our young people, not only in Minneapolis, but around the world. So thank you all for being here today. These are the moments that council members live for. You know, we get to celebrate the work and we get to celebrate the people who live in our cities. I should have said, I'm Latricia Vital. I'm the council member who represents Ward 4 here in Minneapolis, North Minneapolis, and I'm also the chair of Public Health and Safety. And in this committee, I'm so proud to support this work. I'm so proud to support the health department's initiative to designate Minneapolis as a child-friendly city. When they came to me, it was actually former Commissioner Busacan and Andy Groot who came to me and said, this is a big deal.
Like, we got to get on board. Houston is, they're right on us. And the mayor and Congresswoman Omar said it, that, we're competitive. The mayor said him and I are competitive, but every elected official is competitive. We have to win elections, right? So we're all competitive. But I thought, what a great way, to celebrate as the chair of this committee, but not to do this. So thank you all so much for educating me on how important this was to our city, to our nation, and to our young people. Under my committee's leadership, the city passed a resolution proclaiming November 20th, 22 as World Children's Day in Minneapolis. Let's clap for that. And no small feat, so thank you to all of our staff again who encouraged that. And just on a more personal note, this work is especially important to me as a city council member because my life work has been, caring for, loving on, encouraging, mentoring young people of our city. And not only do I live by it, but I have a photo up in my office that is their mission, nothing for us without us, and so I live by that. I love it. I love that our young people want to be heard in this city, that we give them a place, that we listen. I can speak for myself. I love to listen. I'm a middle child. You have to listen. There's no way around it. And so I'm extremely proud of our staff and thankful to UNICEF. Thank you so much, and your team for acknowledging the amazing work that we are doing here in Minneapolis and our children, for our children and our young people. I know this is going to sound corny, but I believe the children are our future. If I could sing, I would have sang it. I don't want to embarrass our city with that. But on this day of love, I want to encourage every single one of you in this room and anybody you know to keep doing this great work. Our children need us. They need us to be great. They need us to listen. They need us to have passion and compassion. They need us more than anything to be there for them. So thank you all so much for the continued work. I am here to help in any way I can, and let's be Houston.
Thank you, council member, and thanks everyone for being here today. This was great. I'm really glad that we have all the support that we have to do this work. And yes, let's be Houston.
Yes.
There is time to kind of stay around. People are welcome to stay around. There's coffee and some treats over there. And Min, I'm going to ask if we can try to get those videos up, what you missed, because we're having a little apparently technical trouble, which I have no idea how to fix, but others do. When we did our work on creating our local action plan, UNICEF USA asked us to choose 2 populations to focus on. And the 2 populations we chose were teenagers or high school students and parents of young children. And the teenagers are represented by the video from the Minneapolis Youth Congress, which is great. And the other one is a video that we got from a mother of young children who is from Joyce Preschool. And Joyce Preschool is a preschool in South Minneapolis, which is a Spanish-speaking preschool. And it is a beautiful, I watched it yesterday, it's just beautiful. So this mom talks about why Minneapolis is important to her. It's in Spanish, but for those of us who do not speak Spanish, it does have English subtitles, so you'll be able to follow along. I was able to follow along. So we hope maybe we can play them while we're all, gathering. So Min and Karina, if we can try that again, let's give it a whirl, okay? See if we can play those for folks. But feel free to stand up, visit with each other.
Questions?
Speak to some of our
We were
dignitaries.
promised we could ask some questions. When would be the time to ask questions?
Do you have a question about child-friendly cities?
I have a question in regards to the UNICEF criteria that were employed in awarding this award. I am very, very happy that the Minneapolis children have been helped, many of them. However, I also know that has not included the East Phillips neighborhood and the